Good morning. This is Scotty Ward. I am the founder and lead sensei for the Cybersecurity Sensei mentorship program. I have developed a brand new slide deck, and it is specifically on scams. And I wanted to bring this to the attention of the team, get some ideas from you on whether or not, it's a smart way of doing it. Is the arrangement correct, etc. I am scheduled to present this over in Peoria, Arizona next Saturday. And oh, by the way, next Saturday we will not have a webinar because I will probably be on the road. Unless you want to do the webinar, Nerman, it's up to you. So just let me know. So this is on scams specifically. And so I'm going to just step through it. Let me know your thoughts when we get to the end. So here we are, scams. And I say it is in conjunction with, in coordination with CS-Sensei. Not only the mentorship program, but the Speakers Bureau, because this slide deck, all of these slides, will be made available to any CS-Sensei member who wishes to present it locally to people that they know, your family, your friends, your HOA, your Boys and Girls Club, your Football Alumni Association, whatever. Please consider this as a resource for you, okay? So who am I? Lots of information about me. I've been doing this for 35 years. I was in IT before it was called IT. And I've been in cybersecurity since before it was called cybersecurity. So yes, another one that's not even listed here. I am a charter member of the Internet Society. So yes, I'm that old. And also my wife will most likely be presenting with me. So I have her screen there. She actually has more certifications than I do. And one that we don't put on there, she and I are both certified help desk managers. So I thought that was kind of cute. She has the chops to do this. She is a former security engineer with DoD. So she knows her stuff too. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this. And this is all about scams. We're going to talk about, what is a scam? How is a scam, how do they exist, etc. We're going to talk about how to spot a scam, how to avoid scams, how to report them if you are, if you do receive them, and then number 5, sadly, what to do if you have been scammed. And then I'm going to talk about 2 real scams that I work locally here and get your ideas about it, because I'm going to give specifics about each of those scams, and they are very, very different in their outcomes. So with that, I just want to make sure everybody understands a scam is something where people are deceiving you into thinking that they're someone they're not, or they're going to do something for you that they're not, etc. Usually they involve money. So, by the way, I found this last week, and I wanted to remind everybody, this was on Facebook. Our bishop in Arizona does not have a Facebook page, but somebody started a Facebook page in his name and is actually sending out little notes to people, because people look and they say, ooh, it's Bishop Young. And so they'll follow this person, and then he'll say, thank you, would you like a copy of my book that I'm selling? But it's not him. So just to let everybody know, that's not him. Don't try and buy the book. Okay, scams. I pulled this off Wikipedia. Look at all the different scams that are listed there. Not all of them are electronic. Not all of them are online, but it gives you an idea of how people can be misled so many different ways. Shopping, fake antivirus. That's one that I want to point out to you, because that was one of these scams that came about that I'm going to share with you. But there's lots of them in here. The latest one that I recall FBI talking about was called pig butchering. Pig butchering. And the important thing to remember about that one is before you butcher a pig, the last thing you do is you fatten them up so that you get the most number of pounds out of your pig. And the pig butchering scam is mostly a scam that involves a long period of time during which the victim is brought in deeper and deeper and deeper, more and more and more money, etc. And you'll see that one of the two scams that I'm going to be talking about is a textbook example, sadly, of a pig butchering scam. So I want to point out also, because the group that I'm speaking to next weekend is going to be at a church, scammers are in the Bible. Yes, they are. 1 Corinthians 6, 9 and 10. In part, it says, don't you realize that those who do wrong will not inherit the kingdom of God? Don't fool yourselves. Those who are thieves or cheat people, none of these will inherit the kingdom of God. So don't cheat. So we're going to go to information that I'm pulling from the Federal Trade Commission. I'm pulling it from other sources, Federal Trade Commission, FBI, AARP, etc. And you'll see at the bottom of each slide where I get this information from. But the Federal Trade Commission says there are 4 ways that you can look for and recognize scams. The first one is the scammers will often pretend to contact you on behalf of the government or a organization that you do business with. In this case, it could be your bank. One of the scams that I'm going to be working on, they said that they were from the bank. So we'll share about that as well. They catch you, they get you engaged by saying there's a problem or we're going to give you a prize. Both of which, if you notice the number 3, it says you've got to do something now. In other words, I'm the only one that can help you. And you better do it now or else. It could be or else you'll miss out on the money, you'll lose your money, or you'll miss out on this big prize or whatever. So they engage you with a sense of urgency. That's number 3. And then number 4, scammers very frequently tell you very specific ways to pay. You've got to pay with Zelle, or you've got to pay with Cash App, or you've got to pay with gift cards, or you've got to pay with bank wire transfers, etc. They will be very specific in the methods that get the money from you to them. And there's a good reason for this. If your money is in a bank or a credit union, you have what's called FDIC insurance or NCUA insurance. And that insurance will apply to you for any unauthorized transactions. But if you notice all of these, they say, you need to go down and get gift cards and then send us the number. You need to do this through a bank wire transfer, etc. You are, even though it's under deceptive circumstances, you are voluntarily transferring the money. And so therefore that insurance doesn't cover it. It's not fraudulent because you did it yourself. You sent it to a fraudulent person, but the bank looks at the transaction itself and says, you did it, that's your signature, that's your approval, that's your voice that says, yes, I want to make this transfer or whatever. It's your password on the account, etc., all of which say that you did it and you did it voluntarily, so therefore the insurance doesn't apply. Just something to pay attention to there. So if they specify how you're supposed to pay and it smells fishy, it just might be. So the next one, here are ways that the Federal Trade Commission says you can avoid a scam. And it says take steps to block unwanted calls and to filter unwanted text messages. Okay, makes sense. If they are, contacting you, don't just ignore them, block them. In other words, you don't even want to see what they have to say to you. Block them. Next one, if you didn't expect the contact, don't give out information. Don't give your name, your address, your phone number, your family names, your account numbers, your social security number. Oh, this is the Social Security Administration and we're calling to verify. Please give us your social security number. Well, you already have it. So be aware of that. If you didn't expect the contact, don't give out information. All right. Number 3, don't be pressured into doing something immediately. Like I said, that's one of the first things that the scammers do. That's one of their primary ways that they will get you hooked. They say, ooh, you better do this or else. And it's not or else. Well, I guess maybe if somebody contacts you and says we're with the sheriff's department and you haven't been paying your tolls and we're about ready to, repossess your car or something like that, could be, or else means we're going to come get you. There's a warrant that's going to be issued for your arrest. I've heard of those as well. But it's usually or else you're going to miss out on your bank. Somebody's messing with your bank. You're going to miss out on this. Or in the case of the pig butchering one, we're about ready to do a trade and you need to get your money into the trade in time or else you won't be able to participate. That's another one. Haste. They want you to do it quickly so you're not thinking about it. And then number 4, learn those unconventional pay methods. They'll tell you to pay with a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, a wire transfer like Western Union or MoneyGram, a payment app like Zelle, or there are lots of them out there, Venmo, PayPal, all of those payment apps. Again, why do they do payment apps? Because you're the one that says, yes, I approve this, and therefore you can't get it pulled back because you initiated it. Never deposit a check and send money back to someone. Okay, that's the last one. And then stop and talk to someone you trust. Frequently, the scammer will say, nobody else knows about this yet. This is so new, we haven't divulged it to people at your local bank or whatever. It's being handled strictly confidentially by the fraud unit. You must speak with me, and nobody else knows about it, so therefore you must trust me. That's their way of getting you to where you don't walk into your bank and say, hey, I was contacted by this guy, etc. And we'll talk about that as well because this occurred. So here's something that I just wanted to bring to your attention. I've been in many, many, many sessions where I'm speaking to people and somebody says, I got a text from Bank of America and they told me that I have to do this. And I said, hold on a second. They say they're Bank of America, but are they Bank of America? So what you should do, and I call it the Jedi mind trick, somebody says they're Bank of America, don't agree with them with your mouth. I got a text from Bank of America. No, I got a text from somebody who says they're Bank of America. See what I'm saying? It sounds simple, but teach your brain not to agree until you agree. If somebody says, I'm Truist Bank, I'm Chase Bank, I'm your credit union, Navy Federal Credit Union or Pentagon Credit Union, Department of Justice Credit Union, they say they're the credit union. That allows your brain to still have one more gate that they have to travel through where you are the final arbiter of whether they are who they say they are. Just a thought. Just something that I recommend people give consideration to. Now, when you are trying to coordinate with these people and verify them, the suggestion is find a reliable method to contact them. If somebody calls you and says, I'm calling from Bank of America or Wells Fargo or whatever, how do you know? Well, go to wellsfargo.com and look up their contact information, for example. Call the number that's listed at wellsfargo.com. Now remember, the scammers know that you can do this. So they will try and give you, oh, you can call us immediately at this number. And it's not a Wells Fargo number. Or you can click this link and verify what we're telling you. And that's not Wells Fargo. So what you receive, always be suspicious of. Go find a secondary means of validation and use that. If it's a bank, if it's your bank, look on the back of your debit card. There is a customer service number right there. Call that number. On your credit or debit cards, there's a number. It's, you see right there for American Express. Also be aware that if you're looking online, you could end up with sponsored results, ads. For example, if you say, what's the best antivirus? You're going to get a whole bunch of ads for people, for companies who say, we're the best antivirus, we're the best antivirus, we're the best antivirus. They paid money to show up first on your search results. So just be aware that that could occur when you're trying to validate who to contact for your bank, your credit union, Zelle or whatever. Ads could be there first. So just watch for where it says sponsored or ads. They paid to show up on your browser search results. When you're reporting a scam, this is the next thing to do. When you think you have a scam, here's the thing. All of the scam reporting agencies say when you see a scam or when you think you see a scam. It's okay to report it. If you're wrong, let them decide that. Okay? First thing you should do, follow the money. You notice I have that up in the upper right corner. The first two steps are the money. Number one, your bank, your credit union, or whatever, ask them to reverse the transactions. If they can, they may be able to. The next one, the card or the app that was used. And again, credit, debit, Zelle, Venmo, Cash App, there's a lot of them, but just be aware that if you go off the deep end and you do gift cards, there is no going back from a gift card. Bitcoin, there's no going back from Bitcoin. Bitcoin is untraceable. And therefore, the moment it goes, it's gone. It's like burning your money, all right? Contact law enforcement, number 3, and make sure you get a case number. Then from there, report it to the FBI. They want to know any internet crime, and then report it to the FTC because they want to know any case of fraud. So internet crimes and frauds, two different groups of people who can use it to research, to try and help law enforcement help put some of these people in jail. All right. Now, I have a special request for anybody that's a senior citizen, 65 or older. According to the National Council on Aging and the AARP, 1 in 10 of you are going to report when you've been scammed. 1 in 10. That means 9 times out of 10, the bad guy gets away with it and nobody even says anything about it. Why? Because we're too proud. Or for some of us that may have cognitive issues, or we don't get along well with our family, your family could be looking for some reason to take away your finances, your control of your finances, and they could be watching you and saying, well, you know, he lost his money to a scam, so therefore he's not responsible. So we as seniors, I'm 68, we as seniors tend to not report. So if you look at this chart, and it shows that people 80 and over, the median dollar loss is $2,000 for people who've been victimized. Multiply that by 10. That is a closer number to being accurate. Okay? So seniors, don't be the person that says, oh, serves me right. Don't do it. Report it. Pick up the phone and call the police department. It's not an emergency. Call the non-emergency number, but report it. Okay? And I'm just saying that because we don't. And that's wrong. We let the bad folks get away with our money. Not good. Okay, next one. If you have been scammed, there are a lot of different avenues that you can choose. So this slide, instead of saying do this, do this, do this, it depends if you were paid or if you paid, how you paid, the amount you paid. All of those have different avenues to take. So if you gave them your personal information, that's another thing. If you go out to amazon.com/report a scam, one of the things they ask is, did you give information? Yes or no? Did you pay money? Yes or no? So if you have been scammed or you believe you've been scammed, go to consumer.ftc.gov and search for what to do if you were scammed. Because there's a whole chart there that says, if this, do this, if this, do this. And you need to follow that. The avenues that you take are not the same, and so you need to use their examples. If this, then do this, and just do exactly what they say. Okay, I couldn't fit that all on one slide. It would have been way too complex. All right, so that's the scam side of it. And now let's go to 2 scams that I worked. And I want my team's suggestion on this. I may want to reverse the order of these 2 because number 2 is disastrous, and I may want to start with it first, but we'll talk about that. So the first scam that I'm going to talk about, victim number 1, was a widow living in her house all by herself, Social Security, little bit of money in the bank, then here she is, she gets this browser pop-up. And the browser pop-up says, uh-oh, there's something wrong here. And it says, call this number. And she did. The hook from the individual says, oops, you've been infected, but we can help. And then later on, oops, it looks like they got into your bank. In this case, it was the Lutheran Credit Union, but it says, looks like it got into your financial institution. I can help. Okay. The scammer was a helpful sounding gentleman. One person spent several hours on the phone with this victim, helping to install remote access software so he could see what she was doing. Also had a keylogger. We'll get into that as well. But supposedly was assisting her with her fraudulent credit union. And so what he did was he had a fake Lutheran Credit Union login screen. Looked just like the real one, but he had copied it, and he was watching her as she typed in her user ID and password. And then he came up with this fake, here are your account screen. And it wasn't really authentic, but that's what caused her to get a little suspicious. And he said, these are your account balances, right? Etc. And she said, no, they're not. And he said, oh, well, I can help with that, etc., etc. Meantime, he had logged into her Lutheran credit union account and was starting to manipulate her accounts to get money out of them. The tools he used was that malicious web pop-up, a phone number. He said, call me, and she did. The remote access software, he got into her account, got into her home computer. He had the fake login screen for the credit union. He had a lot of patience. He spent hours on the phone with her, and he sounded like he cared. All the while, he was trying to steal every dime she owned. Okay? So it ended when she got too suspicious. She hung up the phone and called me because I live right around the corner from her. And she said, I think I'm being scammed. I said, okay, hang up the phone. First thing you should do is call your financial institution. Remember, I had that listing. Get the money first. So she called the credit union and they said, yes, you are logged in and you're making withdrawals. And she said, that's not me. So the credit union was able to reverse nearly all of the transactions that had been made looking like it was her. Thankfully. Then I got a hold of her laptop, did some research, found all of the installations that were being made on it, the hokey software, etc., down to and including, this is something that a professional needs to do. Usually like Geek Squad or somebody like that, somebody who's trained in doing this. I'm aware of it. I knew where to look, and I saw what I found, and therefore I was able to remove it, including manually editing her Windows registry, if that tells you how far down I went. Her losses started off being nearly $40,000, but because she contacted the credit union quickly, they were able to reverse nearly everything. She lost, I think, around $500. In other words, her speedy response saved the day. Not so with victim number 2. Now, I'm going to do a little side thing here, and this is just sort of to get everybody looped back in on this. We're going to do a poll within the room. I want you to yell, ouch, when we've reached your pain point. How much money are you willing to lose before you say enough is enough? Okay? $3? $30. And of course, I'm listening for people to, somebody's going to say, ouch, at 3. I don't want them stealing anything. So as you're presenting, again, you're trying to bring them together as a group so they can focus on this and say, how much is devastating to me? $30, $300, $3,000, $30,000, $300,000. Now, by this point, everyone in the room is clutching at their heart, going, how would I survive such an attack? That's the point of this. Make it personal. All right, so we're going to talk about victim number 2 was actually a couple in their late 60s, both retired. He was a plumber, she was a medical tech. They had around $300,000 in total assets, including 2 houses, one that their mother lived in, and a little bit in the bank in, retirement accounts and that sort of thing. Well, it all began with what looked to be a stray text message. Somebody sent a text message to the husband, and reportedly it was from a female, male to female. Be aware that men like getting contacted by women. Sadly, the scammers know that. So got this text out of the blue and struck up a conversation. Oh, hi, my name is Jennifer. This person actually said her name was Jennifer, and she was the stepdaughter of Dr. Tan, the chairman of Vickers Holdings in Shanghai. we're doing Bitcoin transactions and we're making up to 50% per transaction. Are you interested? And it sounded legitimate. It took place over weeks and weeks and weeks, long period of time to build up. Remember, we talked about pig butchering, to build up a comfort with this person. Said, we're going to do something. They cut me in, they talked to the victim and said, if you're interested, you're going to need $10,000 to do it. But the turnaround could be as much as 50%. But you have to use our Charles Schwab app. So make a bank transfer into the app. And they did. $10,000. Showed in the app, $10,000. Then this Bitcoin purchase supposedly occurred, and the app said, you made $5,000. Woohoo! We're in the money. And then they said, okay, now the next one is $25,000. And they said they made 50% because it said so in the app. They made a bank wire transfer into the app, and the app said, you've made money. Then they got to the big stuff where they said, we're going to be higher, and just so you know this is legit, we are putting you into this, it's called Telegraph, is a group texting app, and we've got a whole bunch of other people, investors as well as professionals, and Dr. Tan himself, supposedly, remember the Jedi mind trick, somebody who said he's Dr. Tan, somebody who said her name is Jennifer, got involved and said, yep, this is something we do routinely, but this is a very special deal. Looks like it's going to have a great payoff. I'm putting money in, you should put money in too. So every time they went up in money and they said 50,000 wire transfer, they were pulling out of their retirement accounts to do this now. And then they said, all right, we made 25,000 in the app. Then the next level was 150,000. And that's where the group text came in, because they wanted to build confidence that this was something that other people were doing. Not just you, the plumber. We're all doing this and we're all making good money. I can vouch for it. I can vouch for it. It's legitimate. I've done this for 2 years and I'm already making millions, et cetera, et cetera. That's what these people were doing. They were trying to build confidence that this couple should transfer money from their bank into the app and the app would show the winnings. So they did every amount they could from their retirement accounts. Still, they didn't make the 150,000, so they missed the trade. But wait a minute, they already moved their money into the app. So their money was gone, even though they didn't even make the trade. So then they said, all right, so we've got another one. It's 300,000. That's the next one that's going. 50%. You're going to make 50% on this. So he took a personal SoFi loan. He refinanced their house, wired the money to the app. It wasn't enough. They missed the trade. And so now this app says you have $150 whatever $1,000 sitting in your account. So he got a little skittish and he said, okay, I want to make a withdrawal. And they said, okay, but you have to cover the taxes. So you have to put an additional $31,000 in here in order to have us cut you a check. Recognize that? Sounds like things are going south and every time I talk to you, I've got to pay more money. And that's exactly what was happening. They said, oh, it says 33, 33, 31, whatever it was. But then, in the midst of it, they get a call from somebody who says, I'm with the Wells Fargo fraud unit, and we've been noticing your transaction information, and we think that someone is in your account, because this other person, this victim, had been sharing his screens with this person called Jennifer, and they said, this person's in your account and doing stuff in your account. But you can trust me. What we're going to do is we're going to take your money out of your account and put it into, he called it an ACERT account. Don't know what that means, but I think it's a banking term. We're going to put it into an ACERT account. So take $65,000 out of your account, do a wire transfer to this account. And oh, by the way, the account was in a woman's name in Pennsylvania, and it was a little bank. But, well, this Wells Fargo person said, yeah, do this. And you know, your money's over there. So 65,000. Then the next day, 62,000. Helped the victims change passwords on their accounts, and then your local banks don't know about this, etc. The whole time, Mike, this person supposedly called Mike Jones. Oh, by the way, number 6, did I mention that Mike Jones had an Indian accent? When this victim and I drove up to the sheriff's department to report this, we talked about Wells Fargo fraud, and the guy said, oh, did he say did he have an Indian accent? And the victim that I drove up there said, yeah, he did. So they knew about this. This guy, Mike Jones from Wells Fargo fraud, had been doing this in other accounts as well. So then, to change up a little bit, Mike said, go take $10,000 in cash out of your account and put it into Bitcoin. Here's the address of your local Bitcoin machine. And it was up in Tucson, 20 miles away. How did he get that? Well, of course, he Googled it, and there it was. But when the victim went up there to make the deposit of $10,000, the machine had a $2,000 limit per day. So he only deposited $2,000, but that was $2,000 lost. Then asked him to wire an additional $25,000 to that temporary account that we were talking about. That didn't work. Then he said, okay, do 9,150, and that worked. So remember, the first scam that went on is now complicated by the second scam. Totally different approach, totally different people, but it's all draining money by the tens of thousands of dollars every time. And then supposedly Mike's supervisor said, oh, I'll wire you $1,000 to cover all of your transfer fees. And where did he wire it? Into that Pennsylvania account, of course, not into the source account that they were trying to drain. The account that we control, we will show you that we're giving money, just like the app. The app shows your money. And, oh, look, you made this much money. This other bank, look, we've wired $1,000 to you to cover your fees, etc. But it's not true. And then finally, my neighbor spoke with me. And I said, have you contacted law enforcement? He said, no. I said, you must do that. Remember, 1 out of 10 report it. The other 9 just say, I was stupid, I was a victim, I deserved it, serves me right, etc. Wrong answer. This individual ended up making the news. $300,000. This couple, because drained both of their accounts, mortgaged their house, all their retirement accounts are gone, their banks are drained, they've got personal loans, they've got a refinance on their house, etc. They are dead broke. And because this took place over the course of a year and a half and involved voluntary wire transfers, every single one says you did it. Did you not? Well, yeah, but they said they were this person. Doesn't matter. You did the transfer. Okay? The chances are exceedingly slim that they're going to see $1 of this. Even if they find these scammers, prosecute them, put them in jail, and they just happen to have been caught driving around with a pickup truck full of gold bars, chances are they are not going to get anything back. So that is what occurred. Now, here are some lessons to be learned from this. Number one, if it sounds like a great deal, be extremely suspicious. And if somebody just happens to contact you from out of the blue, it may be intentional. They are out fishing and you don't want to be caught. Also, people who sound nice may not be. I heard another scam that occurred. Somebody was talking to somebody over the phone, and they said, "You sound all nice and warm like my grandma. Do you mind if I call you grandma?" At the same time, they were stealing every dollar this woman had. Okay, so be aware, scammers build your confidence, but they're still evil people. They're trying to take everything. And then remember the Jedi mind trick. They are not who they say they are until I agree. They say they're my bank. Well, let me call my bank and verify. They say they're, whatever. They say they are, all right? Share with someone you trust early, or even better, before you get involved in these sorts of things. Share with someone you trust, because most likely what they're going to tell you. And this is just from the Bible. It says, "Listen, I'm sending you out like sheep to a pack of wolves. You must be as cautious as snakes and as gentle as doves." That's Jesus talking to his disciples, all right? So, part 2 of lessons we should learn: watch for the payments. If they say bank transfer, danger. If they say wire transfer, cryptocurrency, a payment app, or a gift card, all of those are most likely red flags for a scam. Credit cards are best if you've got to use one. Credit cards are better than debit cards. Now, of course, you may ask why. A credit card, it's not your money. It's Visa's money, or it's MasterCard's money, or it's American Express's money, or it's Diners Club money. And they will prosecute these people to the ends of the earth to get their money back. You have protections. I don't know if anybody knows this, but if somebody fraudulently uses your credit card, you can be responsible for as much as $50. Everything else you cannot be held responsible for. So it's good to use a credit card for your financial transactions. Okay, that's it. The suggestion here is take a break, come back in a little while, and we're going to do the cyber safety nibbles, which I think all of you are aware of. We've got a slide deck and handouts for that. So what do you think? What do you think? Do you think this is going to be helpful? I think so. And again, I'm thinking very seriously about swapping number 1 and 2, because number 2, the big one, is so devastating. I want to finish with a good story. And the good story is act fast and save your money. So I think I'm going to swap those two. What do you think?
Yeah, this is amazing. Amazing presentation, Scotty. Um, and I'm glad you recorded everything so you can put on YouTube channel so people can learn.
Right.
I hope so many people see your video. It's really
In addition,
educational video regarding scams.
yeah,
Like, you know, it
yeah.
can help people a lot.
If you notice, the last few weeks, I've also been talking about whether the information, the data, the warnings, etc., should come from you or not. The most important thing is that they get the information, not that it comes from you. If they ask you what antivirus to use, say, well, this antivirus is recommended by these people. Or if they say what VPN to use, well, this VPN is recommended by these people, etc. You don't have to be the original source of information on scammers. You notice I'm not the original source. Got it from the Federal Trade Commission, got it from AARP, etc. Use them, because then all you're doing is you're bringing the information to them. They're not looking at you and saying, hey, you told me this. Well, no, Bank of America told you this, or Chase Bank, or whatever. The Federal Trade Commission told you this. That way they won't come back and say nasty things about you. Okay? I guess that's a way of saying it. All right, that's all I had. I'm going to stop the recording, but thank you for listening. I hope that you realize this slide deck is available to anyone in the CyberSecurity Sensei team that wants to take it to your local groups. I will help you customize it so your name is on it, etc. We will make you successful with it so you can make people safer. Thank you.